Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. This is not my normal voice. I am Heather and I have a cold. A pretty fierce one that has sidelined me for a couple of days, and it's changed my voice for now. I sound nice and raspy. Again, this is not me, but here we are. We're together. I felt good enough finally to come back in front of the camera, so that's nice. I definitely was not intending to get sick. Mike and the kids got sick a couple weeks ago, and I thought I survived it, and I was like, yeah, I took my vitamins, I'm doing so good, and it turns out it was just like waiting for me to like be caught off guard, and then hit me full bore in the middle of last week, and whew, yeah, so great. But if you're here and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened to her voice? That's what happened. I'll go back to normal eventually, I hope. I actually couldn't speak for like a full day and a half at all. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I? I'm like using my, I'm like knocking on things like Dakota does when she's sick. And I'm like, all right, now I understand why she doesn't talk. Rough, right? But while I was spending time getting better, I did manage to get our spooky sewn items up on our website. So the website will be linked in this description box. And some of the things that are up there are things that, of course, you have seen me make, like our candy corn pouches, our little baby boos. If you watch my shorts, you saw me making keychains, so those are all up there. There are some things that you haven't seen. They're so cute that I haven't shown you how to make yet, but those are listed up there as well. And then the final item, oh, and this was listed, but somebody has called it theirs already, so that's exciting. The final item that's a sort of a part of our spooky sewn items before we get to our spooky sewing kits is our ghosty book sleeves. Look at it. Look at them. Okay. This is what we're sewing together today. These are listed on this site as well. There's only 2 of them that will be available. But this might be my most favorite book sleeve ever. I just love the vintage vibes of it while also being like cute girl spooky. I don't know if that's a thing, but we're going to go with it. Cute girl spooky. I'm here for that. Hopefully you guys are too. I'll walk you through how to make this. We have made book sleeves on the channel before, but we always make them a little bit different. So the last time we made them, we made quilted book sleeves with bows, and we're using foam today in these book sleeves, because the foam is so like, it's like so, oh, it's so good. I love it. But you could put an e-reader in here or an iPad or something like that as well. Finished dimensions, you guys, are 8 by 10. And we cut our pieces, which I think I forget to mention. I have, fog brain. I forget to mention, but we cut our pieces at 8.5 inches wide by 10.5 inches in height. And so I will include those dimensions in the description box below as well. So if you want to make your own, you certainly can use those dimensions to do that. I think it's a really good size for like the average size book. If you're reading like a larger book, it's obviously, you might want to make it a little bit bigger. I had to get my water. Rough go of it, you guys, rough go. But we have a schedule to keep, so we're moving right along. Now, before we go over to the machine to make one of these together, I did just want to remind you that on Monday, October 13th at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, PM, not AM, we are launching our spooky sewing kits. In the video for the spooky sewing kits will launch at the same time. So I know people are setting alarms. I know people are excited for them. This is like my final warning that if you are excited about getting a spooky sewing kit, you're going to want to make sure that at 12 o'clock on Monday, October 13th, you are on the Etsy site. Again, that will be linked below. Okay, so the same place that you can find all of the finished materials, you'll also find the sewing kits when they launch. And I don't think that they'll be live for very long. Our fall sewing kits sold out in 7 minutes. And so if you want to get one, definitely make sure that you're sort of paying attention to the time. On Monday, set an 11:55 reminder so that you're like ready to go. All right, let's head on over to the machine. I'm going to talk a little bit less and we can get to making our ghosty book sleeve. All right, you guys, so we are at the machine, which is a Juki TL 2010Q. We are using Tex 35 weight thread in silver, which is gray. In the top and the bobbin, we have a Microtex 9014 needle in, and we are using a tank foot for high shank machines, which is basically like a walking foot without the extra bulk for this kind of machine. The place that I bought mine doesn't sell them anymore, but I will tell you the numbers on this side are KT141 if you are looking to find one for yourself. One of the things that I like about making book sleeves, and if you hear me sniffling, it's the sickness, is that you don't really need any hardware for them. So they're pretty quick, pretty simple. We are using a hang tag off the side of our project, which is the first thing that we're going to do. And these are from PacificLabel store on Etsy. I will have their name in the description box below. This fabric for our exterior, is it not just perfect for spooky season book lovers? Oh, obsessed. This is a custom printed material. Your Vinyl Source custom printed for me. So a custom print is basically when you submit a file that's yours, you can have it printed on different material. So that's what this is, custom printed. And it's a waterproof canvas, water resistant canvas. And then our interior is a waterproof canvas in gray. This is also from your Vinyl Source. And this has that thick backing on it. So that's our inside. And then we are using foam for this book sleeve. I've made book sleeves before and I always kind of make them a little bit different. The last time that we had a book sleeve tutorial, we did a quilting and we finished off with bows. So we're not quilting, we're not doing bows this time around, but these are going to be nice and hefty because we are using this foam. Now, I always bought my foam at Joann Fabrics before, and obviously that's not an option anymore. So I ended up finding this on Waywack, however you guys say it, that's how I say it. That's what I'm going to stick with. I found this. I bought a 20 by 60 roll of it or package of it just to make sure that it was sort of what I was looking for. There's like some foam that's really thick, and I like sew-in foam. I don't like the foam that adheres, because most of the time I use material that you can't really iron onto anyways, and so that adhering, it doesn't really make any difference to me. But I like foam that you can sew in, and it looks really thick, and it is quite thick, but it smushes itself right down, so not a big thing at all. All right, so before, this is going to go super fast. I'm just going to, on a bottom corner or bottom edge here, I'm just going to baste on our bag tag, and you want your hang tag to go on towards the inside. That way, once you're done, it will be on the outside. So edges right to the sides, and we're just going to baste it in. The basting stitch is just 1/8 of an inch and a stitch that will never be seen. Okay. All right, so super simple here. We're just going to take a piece of foam and we're going to put our material, our exterior material, right side up on this foam. Okay, and then we're going to take a lining piece we're going to put it right side down. And we're just going to match up the tops. That's what we're really concerned with at the moment. So you've got the right side of your exterior and the right side of your interior together, and that foam is behind your exterior, okay? And we're just going to stitch this together. I'm going to sew foam side up just so I can see where our material is and where our foam is. Not always the best cutter, you know? So trying to keep a straight line. And I'm sewing at 1/4 of an inch here. All right, so just again, another look at those layers. So our foam, our exterior, our interior. And we're going to set up our second side exactly the same way, okay? So foam, exterior, interior. Okay, ours moved a little bit. Oops. There we go. All right, now we're not top stitching yet, okay? What we want to do actually is stitch everything together. So we're just I'm gonna pop you up a little so you can see a bit more. Open up our material. Okay, so again, our foam is staying behind our exterior pieces, and we're just gonna line these up. Okay. And I'm just going to grab my scissors here. I'm going to cut away this foam on our corners, and this is going to help us when we do our top stitch. It's going to remove some of that bulk. Not that foam is extra bulky or anything like that. It's just, it will help because it can get pretty thick. Okay, we're going to match up those tops. Same thing over here. And you know what, you guys, actually, we've got a bit of discrepancy in our foam, it looks like. One side goes pretty straight down. And one side, it looks like needs a little trimming. And this is my bad. I used one piece to cut all the pieces, so they don't have to match exactly, but it's going to be helpful to you if they match somewhat. We'll do the same thing over here. Alright, so once you trim, you should be in a bit better spot to match everything up. And you could baste your foam to your pieces if you wanted. It's totally up to you. Whatever's going to help you. Really, it's just so important that those top pieces line up. Okay, and then you're going to clip all the way around. Your exterior and your interior. All right, so we're clipped, okay? And we're gonna leave our turn hole here at the bottom. Okay, so the foam can be a little difficult to pull through just because it's so bulky. And so I'm gonna leave a good probably 4.5 inches here at the bottom open so that it's not super difficult. And I'm going to use a slightly larger seam allowance at the bottom. And you guys, we're continuing along the trend of nothing matches. And that's because I cut it. So we're using a 3/8 inch seam allowance here at the bottom. It's our interior material. It's pretty bulky. And so I just want to make sure that we are able to sort of cut everything off and make it fit nicely inside of our book sleeve. Just, you know, I don't like cutting. I don't like it. And then we're gonna sort of move our way to 1/4 inch for the exterior. And I'm just kind of pushing down that foam in front of where we're sewing. It's totally not necessary, but I don't know. It just makes it feel a little easier. You do you. However feels right for you. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but us cutting that foam away really, really helps us as we're stitching over where those panels come together. And we're going to leave that bit open there. And now we can trim. And we are going to trim off all the way around our interior pieces. Again, we're going to trim back these corners. That will help us later. Anything that sort of doesn't match up, we'll trim right down. And you don't want to trim where your turn hole is, okay? It's always a no-no. All right, clean up a little bit. I'm just going to make sure we caught our material all the way around. It's always good when you're using foam to make sure that you didn't just catch the foam only, that you also caught your material. Especially if you didn't baste it first. Or if you're like me and a notoriously bad cutter. We're very close here. Very close. But it looks like we got it. All right. We're going to reach in that turn hole. And just start pushing a corner into your hand so that you can grab onto it. Okay, and then just push out. And we're going to work on turning out our corners. And I'll probably use a tool for this, because I just redid my nails and I don't want to pop any of them off. Spooky nails. So cute, right? So cute. At least when we get into the interior corners. Those are a little more difficult because it is that full waterproof canvas. Okay, so that's pushed out nicely and it's like nice and cushy. We'll do the same thing up here for these corners. I'm just gonna grab a little, probably actually grab my pencil. I'm going to work these out. Alright, so once your corners are all poked out, you're just going to sort of stick your finger in that hole, the turn hole that you left. And it should just fold right in on itself. Okay. And you're just going to close that up with a top stitch right along the edge, about 1/8 of an inch. And just make sure you start before that turn hole and end after the turn hole. Okay. Cut off our threads there. And now we can push our interior down. Again, that's going to take some grace. Just try to get those corners to match up down with the corners. The rest will kind of work itself out as it goes. what we want to do, start to clip all the way around our top. We want that interior to be sort of right behind your exterior. So you want to make sure that your exterior is what's poking out. We cut down some of our foam so it's not super thick there. And you just want to take your time and sort of work everything the way that you want it. The more time you take now, the better it will look in the end. Okay. All right. So there really is no front or back or right or wrong or anything like that. So we're just going to pick a side close to where they come together. So like right here, and we'll start there. Just think it's a little less noticeable if you start near an edge. Is that true? I don't really know. I don't know. But that's what I'm telling myself. Okay, we are gonna go for it here. We're just gonna continue to sort of move our material as we go. We're gonna take our time when we get to these bits right here. They are still a bit bulky. You'll hear it when it starts to catch that bulk. Right there. So again, the more patience we have, the better. And as we go along the front here, we're just gonna be mindful, or the back, whichever. It's a straight line, so we should stay in a straight line. Again, taking our time over this bulkier bit on the sides. You guys' favorite creaky door. Haven't had a video with a creaky door in a while. I know how much you guys like that, especially for spooky season sewing. Creaky door culprit just walked back, so I'm sure it'll close again. Oh, there it goes. Fabulous. All right, so while the creaky door culprit opened and closed its door, we made it back to where we started. And so we just back stitched, but look at that. Really nice top stitch. All right, let's head on over to the finish table and we'll take a look at what we've got. All right, you guys, I almost just took NyQuil instead of DayQuil, and it's the morning, so not doing too hot with that, but we did finish our Ghosty book sleeve. These are so cute. Again, the material for the exterior was custom printed, so not something you can necessarily buy, but the interior is a waterproof canvas. Both are from your vinyl source, and I love a good book sleeve. I carry a book sleeve with me every single day. I have my book in it. I have my little reminder notebook in it. I have all the things. It's one of those things that keeps me organized, that can keep other people organized. They're great for fairs and festivals and tables. If you're doing shows and things like that, they're always a great seller because everybody loves a book sleeve. Whether you're putting an actual book in it or an e-reader or a tablet or an iPad or whatever, they're great because they're padded, so they add some protection to whatever's inside of it. But being organized is really like, it means a lot to a lot of people. And so having just like pouches and sleeves and things that you can keep things that you know exactly where they are, so like you can just grab your book sleeve and you know what's inside of it, that's really helpful as a whole to most people. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it's such a great seller, is because it's very usable. Like I said, I use mine every day. I hope that you will make some book sleeves. I make them all the time for all the seasons. And I have this I have a great idea for the holiday book sleeve, and I'm getting actually pretty pumped up about it. So I'm excited. I know that we have our spooky sewing kit video coming out on the 13th, and then we'll probably start to transition over to the holidays and holiday sewing. And that won't necessarily mean that we're sewing Christmas items, but it will mean that we're sewing stuff that is really easily giftable, and it's never too early to start working on that. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I'm so sorry for my voice. If you found it obnoxious as I find it right now, I apologize. You know, there's nothing I can do about it, but I wanted to make sure that I shared with you and that I gave you another reminder about the spooky sewing kits, because I'm trying to get as many of you who are with me all the time sort of like on the same page with me, so that you have an opportunity to get one if you want one. So here I am with you. I'm going to go couch it after this video is over. Take a little break, maybe not talk to anybody for a little bit. You know, we'll see how it goes. I thank you so much for being with me as always. You guys know I appreciate you forever. Seriously, I would not be here if it wasn't for you all, and that means the world to me. Happy spooky season. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon.